Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Sam, I'm here.
There you are, mate. I've been waiting for you. How you doing? Are you ready and raring to go?
I couldn't be more excited, mate. I'm here, prime, drink in hand, ready to go. Very excited. Very excited.
And rightly so, mate, because actually we've got a little bit of a surprise for all our wonderful listeners and viewers this week. Something a little bit different. It is a guest week, and we do indeed have a guest. However, a slightly different approach, shall we say, this week.
A departure in style, shall we say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, so we obviously are the faces of Drewling Samantics. We are mainly a podcast, so audible. However, we also have material that is visual. We are on YouTube as well, so sometimes people tune in to look at our faces. God knows why. But equally, we have a social media presence which features, albeit cartoonized versions, but our faces a few times a week. And, well, simply put, we look good, mate, don't we? We do look good. I mean, those cartoons are exceptional.
You mean we look good in the imagery, or do we look good as we are now? I mean, let's
Okay, so I look good in both, and yeah.
Careful now. Are you saying I need a little bit of work, a little bit of a little bit of adjusting?
What I'm saying, Drew, is that this week for all those out there listening and watching, we have a special surprise. We are about to introduce you to our silent third member, the one who enables us. Don't laugh like that. But look.
Sorry, mate. When everybody uses the word member, it's always because I'm still 12 years old at heart, mate.
Yeah.
And when you describe someone as a silent third member, it's just
right.
Childish humor.
I'll retract that. He is our less visible partner in crime. He is our
third musketeer, mate.
Third musketeer, absolutely. So this week, ladies and gents, boys and girls, those who are watching, those who are listening, wherever you might be, we have a special surprise because we have let him out of his cage. The one that we keep cooped up and hidden away is joining us finally after years of work with us and all the effort we could possibly ever wish for. We're actually going to let him come out and speak a bit. I don't know how else really to put it, mate. So
obviously he's got a spare 5 minutes in his very busy timetable that we've mapped out for him. And so, I mean, I don't know what else to do really, apart from, should we let him off his leash?
Well,
should we allow him to, tear him away from his work?
That we let him out for a few minutes, get some fresh air before we put him back to slavery again. Please do the honours, Drew.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the man behind those wonderful images that you see 3 times a week that make me look good and Sam even better than he looks now. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting in the waiting room, waiting to burst himself on the scene from his cage, from his steaming pencil, it's just getting worse. It's getting worse.
You can't tell me off for saying third member and then use the phrase steaming pencil. What?
I'm going to dig myself a massive hole. Ladies and gentlemen, in the waiting room, let's invite him. Let's get him out. To all our viewers and listeners, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nick Bannister.
PicNick is here. And there he is. What a treat, ladies and gentlemen, watchers and listeners of Drewling Samantics. It's the one and only Mr. PicNick. Nick Bannister is in the house. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you very much. How are you?
And I love the fact that one of the first images our listeners and followers see is you holding a glass of wine. Mate, You're in good company, Nick. I'm sort of the hard stuff, but in a girly form today, if I'm allowed to say that. It's caramel flavored vodka. So, Nick, cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. We've taken all three corners of the alcoholic area. We've got some wine, we've got some beer, and we've got some spirits going on. Fantastic.
Lovely.
So, cheers to everyone.
Cheers.
And
Lovely.
as I say, what a treat. Normally, he's confined to a room with a pencil and in the darkness. We don't let him out in public, as we've mentioned. This is PicNick. This is Mr. Nick Bannister, our incredible illustrator who does all the hard work, really, doesn't he, Drew? I mean, compared to you and me.
Well, mate, let's face it. He makes us look good week after week after week.
Yeah.
That's got to be hard work for anyone.
So I have to say a very short thank you. I mean, most of the time, obviously, when the food gets passed through the cage, it's it's good and everything. But being let out, it's nice to feel the sunlight, be it a bulb in my room.
Right. So if by the time this episode goes out, we haven't been investigated by some sort of like human rights movement, then we'll be very lucky. But no, Nick is, of course, our illustrator, affectionately known as PicNick. But rather than trying to explain all the other things you do, the simplest way, as we do with all our amazing guests, is get you to tell the lovely listeners and viewers exactly who you are and what you do. So over to you, PicNick. Tell people what you're really about.
Oh, fantastic. Obviously, as they've explained, my name is Nick. So in terms of what I do a lot of graphic design and illustration, and I just, in the last 3 years or so, I've just passed my degree in illustration. And yeah, I'm just mainly doing on the side commission work, and that includes just, friends and family, other companies, film studios sometimes even, just branching out into whatever people need. I'm there to draw it.
Amazing. It's literally that simple. And actually, we stumbled across you. So
you did.
For those that perhaps don't know, you have a muggle job. You do work in retail, which is where I met you. And just happened to mention, I think perhaps I was wearing the shirt at the time. And actually, to go off on a tangent, doesn't he look good, Drew, in his uniform?
Look at that, eh?
I have to say, I'm very happy with it. It feels very comfy. I don't know what you make it out of it, but it's fantastic.
It's great.
It's the perfect time to remind people that if they do want to buy some merchandise, it is available. Just contact us, drawlingsamantics@gmail.com. Tell us what you're interested in, whether it's a shirt, whether it's a mug, whether it's something else, and we will be happy to discuss further. But anyway, for those that aren't watching on YouTube, those that are just have us in their ears, Nick is sporting one of our lovely polos, as Drew and I often do. In fact, we always do now, or we do.
We're all kitted up in the team uniform today. It's
what was it that you mentioned? The Three Musketeers, was it?
The Three Musketeers. There we go. Yeah. So mate, each week we're Sam and I and a guest sit here, chew the cud, talk rubbish, or we get a wonderful guest and they talk brilliant stuff. And then we send you over some information, a brief description of the episode. Then you listen to us. Then what do? Then what drives these? I mean, and they are truly amazing images. And, you pump them out very quickly and very cleverly. So what do you do? What gives you the ideas that make us look so good?
Well, you know what? It actually comes from multiple different areas. That's the thing. I mean, it's no images the same each week, and obviously there's usually about 3 images per week. So you have to kind of like especially if you have one particular episode, and that episode has to have 3 images to go with it. So you have to find 3 specific points that you can kind of really work with. And a lot of the time, suggestions for stuff, the images tends to come from just completely different places that I wouldn't expect. Like, I mean, one particular time, I think it was for one of the New Year's images, was actually a suggestion by my father-in-law, who I was showing all the bits and bobs to, and he was like, "Oh, you should do something to do with chalkboard crossing the year 2023 off." And I thought, well, that's actually a really good idea. But yeah, it mainly just comes from just having listened to the episode, if it's available up in time, or just going off the brief description and kind of just picking out certain adjectives or words or kind of certain descriptions and just going, okay, well, I can work with this and I can kind of make it into something else. I think one one of my favorite ones was the one about Sam with the playing dual characters. And just from now, obviously, it's just a case of just adding like wigs and stuff to him and just making it. I think manipulating your faces is one of my favorite things to do, I have to say.
So it's not work at all. You just have a laugh by making us look stupid.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I mean, I've been drawing for God knows how long. I mean, when I was 2, I picked up a pen and crayon and whatever, and that was basically it. So it's just not work for me, you know. I mean, I can come home and I can still have fun in my own little way, just drawing in my little corner. So it's it all just comes naturally, I guess.
Amazing. So just give us, because obviously you talked about the inspiration side of things, but people probably aren't really aware of the process. So Drew and I will plan an episode, whether that's a guest episode, in which case we'll speak to the guest a little bit in advance and find out certain things that they maybe want to talk about or promote, or we'll do our research into that guest and find certain things that we want to ask them about. We'll then either write sort of a pre-description, some ideas for that episode before we record it, or we'll have a meeting, won't we, Drew, where we chat about the ideas and what we're sort of going to run through. Obviously, then comes the recording itself. And at that point, we will obviously send over the pre-edit or an early edit of the episode to you, so you have that for information. Equally, the social media we write together, we'll send early versions of those over to you, so you have a rough guide for that. Do you sort of do it in certain orders? Do you go, right, well, I want to do the one before the episode itself and the one after all in one go, or does it depend sort of on the content of the episode?
Well, it really depends, because as we said, I mean, no 2 days the same, and unfortunately with just the way, I guess, work life is, obviously it's again, the route is never the same each week, so I have to sort of plan it around when can I do it, when's the best time I can do it, how many should I do in bulk. And a lot of the time, an episode that's coming out, say on the Sunday, I'll usually do the bits for on the Friday, just so I have a little time to kind of like get the idea down in place, and I'll do a little rough sketch of what I'm going to go for. And I mean, when I mean rough sketch, I mean incredibly rough. I mean, we're talking like if I was 2 years old and I just kind of like went like, you know, hand waving in the air and doing that. And then after that, I kind of like pick the ones that I sort of like the look of, because I do multiple ones, and then I'll go into the main drawing, and then I'll send that off to you. But a lot of the time, for example, I think one of the times I did a load in one night was when we were doing the countdown towards season 7. Season 7 now, or is it season 7?
Yeah, we're season 7.
Yeah. I lose track of time. But when I did a count of those, I kind of knew what I was going to do with each of the images, kind of in, you know, the 3, the 2, and the 1. And I just sat down in one evening and I just kind of just went, this done, this done, this done, and I sent them off to you that way. So it's so a lot of the time it's always different in terms of when it's completely dependent on timetables, I guess.
So you have a very distinct eye and style, which works beautifully for us. Is that your style, or where do you take your influences from? I mean, you mentioned film posters and that kind of work. I mean, is there you say that's it, that's what I look like, that's what I do, or are you more, are there other sides to Nick Bannister, artiste, as it were, or artist, I should say, not artiste?
The French way is better, and the red wine helps. I mean, I guess it all depends on what. If it's not just for you, for example, if I'm doing work for someone else at the same time, it's dependent on the specifications that they have. So it's I mean, for you guys, obviously you have it's a very fun, bubbly show almost. There's never a downtime to it in a way. There's that you're always very upbeat. So a cartoony style fits your images, I'd say. So going from that, I like to take a lot of inspiration from. I mean, I used to have a huge stack of beaners at the end of my bed, and I'd read them every single night, go through those, and I buy them every single week. And a lot of my kind of cartoony style comes from just reading like the Bash Street Kids on a Wednesday afternoon. But a lot of the time I do like to go out of my comfort zone. So I have a variety of different styles, and obviously that's the cartoonish side. But like with the film posters, like you're saying, I mean, I did a commission for a company called Dogworth a while back that specialized kind of documentary films. And a friend called Lucy, she brought up my work to the people there, and they were looking for someone to post on their social media. So for that one, it was for I think a documentary film called Whitney, Can I Be Me? And obviously based on the life of Whitney Houston. And they wanted portraits done of her, but with a bit of watercolor behind them. So for that one, I used a lot of cross-hatching techniques to make it realistic, but also with a kind of artistic style as well. So it's not like photorealistic. It's not like you are still looking at a piece of artwork. Essentially, you want to make sure that that's how it comes across. So it literally depends on the work. And like I said, I like to come out of my comfort zone. So if there's any different style that I haven't done before, could try, then I love to go for it.
Amazing. Is there an end goal specifically with where you want to be? So right now you have your sort of day job, having fairly recently graduated. You take on a lot of freelance work, and it's building up, and I guess you will get to a point where you go, right, well, the freelance will now completely replace the day job. But is there a particular project or a particular direction that you're really sort of hoping to get to, like a regular for a certain company or a certain style, or anything that really is kind of that's the goal?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get to a point where, as you mentioned, just having the work come into a point where I am able to go freelance and I am able to just use that as my full-time position. I think one of the things that when we started uni, well, even before I started uni, we went to an open day, and the teacher came out and said, right, look, if you're looking to go into a full-time contract job of illustration, then don't think that's going to happen to you, because it's not. You'll end up in a part-time job after this, and then you'll work your way up that way. And that's kind of what he was very honest about it, and they were always honest about it throughout the entire thing. And the good thing about uni is that they did teach us how to get yourself set up in that kind of business and that kind of world. So yeah, that's where I really want to work towards, at least getting to that point. In terms of the kind of stuff I want to do, I mean, even just stuff like the regular stuff like this I'm doing is sort of an indication of where I want to take it. I mean, I love the idea of fast-paced deadlines and kind of working under pressure. And because if anything, I think my family has a saying, Bannister works better under pressure. So it's usually if I have less time to do it, I tend to kind of like do it better. And that sounds silly, but it's not that I leave deadlines to the last minute. I don't like to do that, but nonetheless, if I'm given a challenge like that, then that's the way I do it. But I can't remember what I was talking about then. Oh yeah, that's it. So in terms of the stuff I want to do, really, I mean, I'd love to kind of get back into, because I used to make film posters and stuff like that. And I used to do a lot of them. I don't know if you've heard of a company called Mondo.
Rings a bell, but
yeah. Mondo sort of like specialize in making artisan posters for kind of like big budget films, and well, not even big budget. There's some like lower ones as well. That they employ a load of different artists to make these posters for them, and they're always done in different styles, and they're always done in some of them are absolutely incredible, like some of the work that goes into it. And I'd love to be able to do something like that if I was ever to be very kindly offered a job like that. But again, that's even then, it's still very much freelance, and a lot of these artists who work for companies like that, again, still have other commission work coming from elsewhere. So it's really varied in terms of what goes out.
I remember when I some of the first sort of graphic art I really became aware of being a form of art that wasn't just hung on walls was album covers. I mean, yeah, Sam's going to go, ha, 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 ha. But I mean, 12-inch vinyl was when I was a kid, I used to go and collect 12-inch album cover, because of the album covers, and things like, I mean, Hypnosis were the company that their stable of artists and what they turned out for bands like Yes and Hawkwind and those big prog rock bands that went, just design us a big bloody great big piece of art and we'll stick it on our album cover. That's when I became aware of, and I love comics as well. I was a big comic reader as a kid.
Oh yeah.
That was when, and I, is that still about, is it, because now, with streaming and you don't even see sort of DVD, CD covers as now. Is that sort of branch of work, is that disappeared? Do you think, I mean, it just seems to be what gets illustrated nowadays,
I think if anything, I think you always have some, you always have some form of art in anything you do. And even as we've seen, as music has moved towards streaming, you still have the album art that still goes with it. And it's sort of like, the album's identity, really. I mean, you can have it's sort of like the cover of a book, and it's that you always have to have it. I mean, like you say with your vinyls. I mean, I collect vinyls as well, and I have a load of ones from the 80s. And I mean, vinyl's coming back. That's the thing. I mean, like you go into HMV now, and it's all there. And the reason I love vinyl as opposed to anything else is having something physical and being able to say I own this. And I don't think that's ever really going to disappear, really. And like you said with comics as well, comics have seen such a huge boost recently. I mean, and that's usually thanks to companies like Marvel Studios and DC, and that basically making comic book movies popular again. And I mean, I remember when I was in like year 7, year 8, and it was uncool to enjoy comics and that kind of thing. And if you like comics, then you're a nerd, and you're shunned by the rest of them. But I mean, I'm with my because I have younger brothers who have just come out of secondary school and everything. I mean, they read them all the time now, and it's a popular thing. It's so that business has shot up, really, and it's in your era, I guess. I think the one thing that has disappeared, I mean, I know I mentioned companies like Mondo, but you do tend to find most film posters nowadays are all done via Photoshop, and it's all kind of photographed. And there's certain actors' contracts there that state you have to have so-and-so's face on the poster, and it has to be an image of them, that kind of thing. But so you do, it's a real shame, because I mean, some of the most iconic films, like say Back to the Future and that kind of thing, have the most iconic posters that go with them, like Martin McFly next to the car and everything, and that's all illustrated. And we have lost that, I think, a little bit, because most posters just kind of look the same. They have the floating heads there, and they have the big bombastic lights in the background, but you don't ever get that style anymore, and I think that's at risk of being lost, unfortunately.
Do you think it's more an indie thing now? It's because high-end film is, as you say, so driven by those that are in it, and it's all about, I guess, a lot of people now will go and see films based on who's in it. Not that that's ever changed necessarily, but perhaps now it's driven a bit more by the actors than the content or the subject matter. I think we're all guilty of doing it. We have favourite actors and we go, well, I want to watch that because I know they are good. And equally, we hope that we'll reach that point where people go, right, I'm going to go see that because Drew Fettis is in it. That must be amazing. And that'll be my claim to fame.
Yeah, yeah. But it's interesting because, like Sam was saying, I think things were are driven by personality now and celebrity. But I think and it's the communication through illustration, but like a good album cover would shift albums. A good good film poster was a form of communication, because you would see that on the side of a building and go, that looks amazing. But now you've got it's everything is Twitterized, it's Facebook, it's Instagram. all those images don't necessarily have to catch your attention, because you'll get them, 150 times a week. Something's going to be pumped out there. But the imagination grabbing image, I think it's coming. I think you're right. I think it's coming back a little bit because people are loving the visual, and that's why, I listen to other podcasts and I see other podcasts, and you go, yeah, it's a nice little image, but we get 3 brilliant ones a week, and I think, I know, certainly, a cousin of mine who listens to our podcast absolutely loves the imagery. He said, I look forward to those posts because I look forward to seeing what Nick has done with you guys and what is coming up. He said, and I'll listen to the episode and then I'll get the reminder midweek if I haven't listened to it. He says, so I go, I wonder what they've done to make me go back and listen, or remind me to listen. And it is down to the end, and that is where image is telling a story, is grabbing us. So yeah, maybe we're the Drewling Samantics and Nick Bannister are turning it round in the podcast world. There's our claim to fame. You are our secret weapon, mate.
No, I really do appreciate it. Thank you, because I enjoy it. Yeah, and that's the thing. I enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun for me. Like that. But that's just comes with any sort of art. Like, I enjoy having the kind of motivation to do it. And if it gets me up on my tablet 3 times a week, so I'm not complaining at all. But I just enjoy the work. It's brilliant. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, I mean, it's the same with any art form. The good thing is when you have the freedom to design something that can entice someone in, that's where the creativity shines, because you can almost create a story in one image, and that's where people go, oh, actually I do kind of want to see that, or I do want to listen to that, because I'm intrigued to know more. And that's the kind of thing that I want to do, and that's the kind of thing I want to bring back almost.
And I think that is literally how it works for us as a team. At the end of the day, Drew and I always try and make entertaining content that people want to listen to, want to watch, and want to be involved in, and we want them to keep coming back. But from the perspective of people who are new and perhaps aren't necessarily looking for a podcast, or people who have dipped in and out, having a visual medium like the incredible artwork that you produce for us, it's that constant reminder. And equally, it's, as you say, I want to know more. It's that enticing little element that, and we're giving away our secrets now. You're going to be bombarded by other podcasts going, we want you as well. So no, he's ours. We're going to put him back in his cave in a minute, and no one else is having him. But I think it's just, it's made a huge difference from our perspective. We're obviously massively grateful for everything you do. But equally, we work as a great team, and I'm sure that all our wonderful listeners and viewers will agree that the artwork is just as important as me and this old git turning up each week and making some noise. So, I
mean, I hope that I've been able to capture the spirit of it, because I listen each week and I have a fantastic time listening, and I hope that I've been able to capture that and entice more people in for it.
That's the plan.
I've also been able to remove some of my wrinkles, mate. So that's always, that's an uber bonus for me.
Do so much. At the end of the day, you need to turn into a cartoon to really.
I have not had any requests to remove any wrinkles.
No, you've just been very kind and gone, I'll take that out.
Yeah, I'll do it on your behalf. Nick,
I do remember there was. Do you remember? Sorry, Sam. I was going to say, I remember there was a very interesting conversation we all 3 of us had one night regarding shading. There was.
Yeah. Oh God.
Was one of us like, could we have a little bit less shading, or maybe a little bit more shading? It was. There was a lovely moment where he was like, "Are we just being a bit too bloody vain here? Just let the man get on with obviously what he's very good at."
I think that the thing that made me laugh at the time, because I mean there are certain things, like obviously that come up where you kind of go back to the images, and things you'll notice at the time you'll be like, oh, that's fantastic, I'm going to send it off, there's going to be no changes to that. And then I think the best one that came back was when, okay, well, look, it's really good, and the spotlight you have on this person is fantastic, however it does look as if he's pissed himself.
I remember that one.
Actually. Yeah. And then you kind of look back going, Oh God, yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah, it does. Yes, yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but
No, that's
no,
probably best not to go into too much detail.
no, but what that is an absolutely brilliant way to end. Like we said, we often get people to talk about like funny anecdotes or stories from their part of the industry or their involvement. That absolutely nailed it without even being sort of queued up. So yes, perfect. Nick, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Normally I go, oh, we must catch up again. I'm going to be speaking to you probably in about half an hour with some imagery suggestions and things. And but what we wanted to do today was to mix it up a little bit from our normal guests and actually give our wonderful listeners and viewers, all the people who follow and tune in each week, a little bit of insight into how Drewling Samantics works beyond just me and Drew. And yeah, you are, as Drew said, our secret weapon. So we are eternally grateful to you. Please don't go anywhere because we need you.
Thank you very much for having me. I'd say, like, honestly, I'm loving being part of the team. And if you could fill up the dog bowl when you leave the cage a little bit higher next time,
of course, mate.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah. We might even change the flavour this day. No, mate, it's a pleasure having you on. Thank you for having a chat with us. Now get back to work.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'll be right there. Get the pen for it.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
See you later. Nick, mate, thank you so much.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Real soon. Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Have a good one. Take care.
Cheers, mate. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Sam, listeners, viewers, fans, subscribers, whoever, our secret weapon is now unveiled. Mr. Nick Bannister, illustrator, graphic artist supreme. There he is in all his glory.
Yeah, but we have to reiterate, he's ours. So anyone out there listening who also, no, he's ours. You're not stealing.
No, he's ours. No.
He is one of the Drewling Samantics family. He was wearing his uniform. We allowed him out of his cage for half an hour for a chat. No, he genuinely such a lovely bloke and such a talented guy as well. But people out there who are listening or watching right now, they already know that. They've seen all his work. He's just absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure he will go on and just become better and better, and more people out there will be snapping him up for work. He's got a very, very promising future ahead of him.
He's got a very unique eye as well, hasn't he? He's got a very communicative eye, because he knows what. He very quickly picked up who you and I were and what we were trying to do and how we were trying to say it. However madcap and off the cuff it may be, he picked that up really quickly. And I think he's a little bit of a genius. I hate to say it, but yeah, I think he's a little bit of a genius. Because
and that's obviously because we equally are genii, and he fits in with the team in that respect, mate. He doesn't feel out of place. So
we give him an awful lot to work with, don't we? Let's face it. So much.
Yeah, just as we said, removing your wrinkles alone, that's a full-time job. So
but I mean, that being said, Sam, I mean, we've created a monster. I mean, he's a very talented young man. Every week he churns out these 3 brilliant images, and we've now told people how good he is. You know what we're going to go and do, don't you?
We're going to have to go and plan some good stuff ourselves. I think
we're going to have to go churn out some really good stuff now, because I don't know about you, but every week there's just the 2 of us in those images. You know what he's going to do this week, don't you?
Oh, he's going to be in it as well.
He's going to be 3 times as big as we are. We'll be just kicked to the sidelines,
into a corner somewhere.
That's the one. Yeah.
This
Spot
week,
Drew, Spot Sam,
featuring Drewling Samantics. Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm sure whatever he comes up with this week will be superb. But as you say, we need to match it by being as entertaining as possible next week. So I'll have a drink to that, Drew.
I will as well, mate.
Cheers to you. Cheers to PicNick for coming on. We look forward to everything he brings to us for the future, and equally look forward to seeing everyone else next week for another episode. Take it easy.
Take it easy, everyone.
See you later. Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.